Life has a way of throwing challenges at us, sometimes gentle, sometimes like a storm that shakes everything around us. And often, we face problems that are completely beyond our control. You can't prevent them. You can't change them, and sometimes you can't even understand why they happen. I remember a man who worked tirelessly for years, yet despite all his efforts, the company he loved shut down. He felt helpless, angry, frustrated. He asked, "Why me?" But here's the truth: life is not always fair. We don't always get the outcomes we hope for. What we do get, however, is a choice. The choice to grow in the midst of challenges. Problems beyond our control are like storms at sea. You cannot calm the storm, but you can adjust your sails. You cannot always change circumstances, but you can change your response. Your peace, your happiness, your mental strength, they are all within your control. It is in these moments of helplessness that the greatest growth occurs. When you surrender to what you cannot change, you stop wasting energy on the impossible. Instead, you focus on your attitude, your actions, and the lessons hidden in adversity. Remember, the most beautiful diamonds are formed under extreme pressure. The same applies to us. When life pressures you, when it tests your limits, it is shaping you into a stronger, wiser, and more compassionate version of yourself. So, next time you face problems beyond your control, pause, take a deep breath, let go of the illusion of control over everything, and focus on what you can do, your mindset, your resilience, and your kindness. Because at the end of the day, it's not the storm that defines you, it's how you sail through it. Acceptance is the first step when problems are beyond your control. Often we fight against reality, thinking that if we struggle enough, somehow life will bend to our will. But the truth is, some things simply cannot be changed, no matter how much we wish they could. Imagine trying to hold back the tide with your bare hands, or stopping the rain with your palms pressed together. The harder you try, the more exhausted you become. Life works in mysterious ways, and not everything is meant to be in our control. Accepting this is not a sign of weakness, it is a profound sign of wisdom. I once heard about a woman who had devoted her entire life to caring for her aging parents. She wanted everything to be perfect for them: clean house, healthy meals, constant attention. But suddenly, her father fell seriously ill, and despite her best efforts, the illness progressed. She felt anger, guilt, and despair. She kept asking, "Why me? Why now?" But the turning point came when she realized that she could not control the illness itself, only how she responded to it. Once she embraced this truth, she found a sense of calm and clarity. Acceptance allowed her to focus on providing comfort, love, and presence instead of wasting energy on what she could not change. Acceptance also frees the mind from unnecessary suffering. We tend to believe that if we resist, if we complain, if we refuse to acknowledge reality, somehow things will improve. But resistance is like swimming against a strong current. You tire yourself out, and you make no progress. Acceptance, on the other hand, allows you to see clearly, to think clearly, and to take meaningful action in areas where you do have control. It doesn't mean you surrender your responsibilities. It means you stop wasting energy on the impossible. You acknowledge reality, and in that acknowledgement, you find power. Think of life as a river. Sometimes the river is calm and we glide along effortlessly. Other times, the water becomes turbulent, filled with rocks and whirlpools. We cannot calm the river itself, but we can adjust how we navigate it. Acceptance is the first step in learning how to steer, how to paddle effectively, and how to remain afloat. Without it, we fight the water, exhaust ourselves, and lose sight of the bigger picture. With it, we move with the current intelligently, turning obstacles into lessons and storms into opportunities for growth. Acceptance also cultivates humility. When we accept that we cannot control everything, we acknowledge that life is bigger than our personal desires. It teaches patience, understanding, and empathy. It opens the heart to gratitude, even in the midst of difficulties. Because when we stop demanding that life conform to our expectations, we begin to see the beauty and lessons that were always there, hidden behind the veil of frustration and fear. So, the first step in dealing with problems beyond your control is to accept them fully, not grudgingly, not half-heartedly, but with clarity and courage. Acceptance does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop struggling against the unchangeable and start channeling your energy where it truly matters. Your thoughts, your actions, and your inner strength. In that moment of acceptance, you reclaim your power, find your peace, and take the first real step toward navigating life's challenges with wisdom and grace. When problems are beyond your control, what truly matters is not the problem itself, but how you respond to it. Life will often present situations that are unfair, painful, or seemingly impossible to manage. A job loss, a health scare, a relationship that falls apart. These are all events outside our control, And yet, the most powerful lesson in life is that while we cannot always dictate what happens to us, we can choose how we react. This choice, small as it may seem, can transform a life filled with despair into a life filled with resilience, hope, and purpose. Imagine a man who had invested years of hard work into a business only to see it fail due to unforeseen circumstances. He could have sunk into bitterness, blaming the world for his misfortune, feeling that life had dealt him an unfair hand. Many would understand if he gave up entirely, but he made a different choice. Instead of focusing on the loss, which was beyond his control, he focused on his response. He asked himself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I move forward with what I still have? By shifting his energy from the uncontrollable problem to his controllable response, he discovered resilience he never knew he had. Over time, he rebuilt his life stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. The power of response lies in the awareness that no one can take away your inner strength unless you allow it. Problems will come and go, but the way you respond determines whether they define you or refine you. When you choose patience instead of anger, courage instead of fear, gratitude instead of resentment, you regain control over your life even when the external world seems chaotic. Your response becomes your anchor, your shield, and your guiding light in turbulent times. Consider the story of a young woman preparing for an important exam. She had studied for months. But on the day of the test, unforeseen circumstances caused her to miss a portion of it. The situation was clearly beyond her control. Many would panic, complain, or blame fate. But she chose a different response. She calmly focused on the portion she could still answer, gave her best effort, and maintained her composure. She did not waste energy lamenting what she could not change. Later, she learned that her calm and focused response had actually helped her score higher than many who had not faced such a challenge. Her reaction, not the problem itself, determined her outcome. Focusing on your response is also an act of empowerment. Problems often make us feel small and helpless, but our responses give us agency. They remind us that no matter how turbulent life may become, we always have a choice. We can complain, we can resist, we can surrender, but we can also choose resilience, optimism, and constructive action. And each choice shapes the trajectory of our lives far more than the events themselves ever could. So, when life presents problems beyond your control, pause and reflect before reacting. Ask yourself, what can I control in this moment? What attitude? What action? What thought can I choose that will serve me and others? By focusing on your response, you reclaim power, preserve peace, and turn adversity into an opportunity for growth. Problems may test you, but your response defines you, and that is something no one can ever take away. Inner peace is something many people search for outside themselves, but the truth is, it is entirely within your hands, even when problems are beyond your control. Life will test us constantly with situations that we cannot influence. Health issues, financial crisis, misunderstandings, natural disasters. In these moments, it is easy to feel like a puppet, with circumstances pulling every string. But the reality is, while we may not control the storm, we can control whether we remain calm, whether we stay centered, whether we refuse to let external chaos disturb our inner sanctuary. Consider the story of a man who lived in a city frequently struck by storms. Each time a storm approached, he would panic, rushing to secure his home, worrying about damages, fretting over possibilities. The fear would keep him awake at night, and even when the storm passed, the anxiety lingered. One day, an elderly neighbor told him, "You cannot stop the storm, but you can control whether you live in fear or calm." The man realized that his suffering was not caused entirely by the storm. It was caused by his reaction to it. He began to prepare calmly, but he refused to let worry dominate him. Over time, he noticed that even when the storms were fierce, his mind could remain steady, his heart peaceful. His peace was no longer dependent on circumstances. It was a choice he made every single day. Inner peace is not about denying reality or pretending problems don't exist. It is about creating a sense of equilibrium within yourself that is not shaken by what is outside. Think of it like a lake. When the wind blows, the surface may ripple, but the depth remains still and undisturbed. Similarly, life's challenges may disturb your outer world, but your inner core, the depth of your mind and soul, can remain calm, clear, and steady. This inner stability allows you to face problems without panic, to think clearly without being clouded by fear, and to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Another example comes from a woman who had been passed over for a promotion at work. She could not control the decision, it was already made. Initially, she felt anger, jealousy, and disappointment. She was tempted to ruminate endlessly about fairness and injustice. But she remembered a simple truth. She could not change the decision, but she could control how she reacted. She chose to focus on her growth, on learning new skills, and on maintaining a positive attitude. In doing so, she found peace. She did not waste energy fighting the uncontrollable. Instead, she invested it in what she could control: her mind, her heart, and her actions. Inner peace also strengthens resilience. When we know that peace is in our hands, we stop being victims of circumstances. We stop blaming, complaining, or feeling helpless. Instead, we recognize that calmness, clarity, and balance are tools we carry with us at all times. And in this state, we are able to see solutions, opportunities, and lessons that were hidden in the chaos. So, even when life throws problems beyond your control, remember your calm is your choice. Your mind is your sanctuary. Your peace is your power. No storm, no misfortune. No challenge can take that away from you unless you give it permission. Nurture it, protect it, and let it guide you through life's most turbulent moments, because inner peace is not found in the absence of problems. It is found in the mastery of your own response to them. Learning from adversity is one of life's most valuable lessons, especially when problems are beyond your control. It's easy to see challenges as obstacles or punishments, something to resent or wish away. But every hardship carries within it a hidden lesson, waiting to be discovered by those willing to look closely. When we shift our perspective from seeing problems as threats to seeing them as teachers, our approach to life changes completely. Adversity becomes not an enemy, but a guide, a tool that shapes our character, sharpens our mind, and deepens our wisdom. I once knew a young man who had dreamed of becoming a professional athlete. He trained day and night in the sacrificed leisure and gave his everything to pursue his dream. But an unexpected injury ended his career before it even began. At first, he was devastated. He felt cheated and overwhelmed by frustration, asking himself why life had been so cruel. He could not control the injury, and he could not undo the loss of his dream. But after months of reflection, he realized that the adversity was teaching him something important: resilience, patience, and the value of adaptability. He redirected his energy into coaching younger athletes, sharing his knowledge, and inspiring others. The very setback he once despised became a source of growth and fulfillment, and he discovered purpose in a way he never expected. Adversity has a unique way of revealing our inner strength. When life is easy and everything goes according to plan, we often remain unaware of the power we possess. But when problems beyond our control arise, we are forced to dig deep, confront fears, and find solutions within ourselves. It is in these moments that courage is born, patience is cultivated, and wisdom is earned. Every challenge carries a lesson that cannot be learned in comfort. It is only through struggle that we truly grow. Consider the story of a woman who lost her home in a flood. Everything she owned was gone in a matter of hours. She could not control the natural disaster, and she could not undo the destruction. Yet, in the midst of despair, she noticed something extraordinary. Her community rallied around her. Strangers offered support, and she discovered a sense of gratitude she had never experienced before. The adversity taught her the value of compassion, the strength of community, and the importance of resilience. Through the hardship, she not only rebuilt her home, but also her perspective on life, stronger and wiser than before. Learning from adversity requires patience and reflection. It demands that we ask difficult questions. What is this teaching me? How can I grow from this? How can I use this experience to help myself or others? It is not always easy to see the lesson in the moment, and often the wisdom emerges only after time has passed. But the willingness to seek growth transforms suffering into opportunity and hardship into a stepping stone toward greater understanding and fulfillment. So, when faced with problems beyond your control, remember that every challenge carries a lesson. Adversity is not just an obstacle, it is a teacher, a guide, and a mirror reflecting your inner strength. By learning from hardship, you become stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Life's difficulties are never wasted if we choose to extract their hidden gifts, and in doing so, we turn the uncontrollable into an opportunity for extraordinary growth. Detaching from outcomes is one of the most powerful tools we have when problems are beyond our control. Many of us live our lives as if happiness, peace, or success depends entirely on the results we achieve. We tie our emotions, our sense of self-worth, and even our relationships to outcomes that are often unpredictable and beyond our influence. But when we detach from outcomes, we shift our focus from the uncontrollable to the controllable, our actions, intentions, and mindset. This shift brings freedom, clarity, and resilience, especially in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Imagine a young student preparing for a crucial exam. She studies relentlessly, sacrificing sleep and leisure. On the day of the exam, circumstances are beyond her control. An unexpected question appears that she is not prepared for. She cannot change the question or alter the past weeks of preparation. In that moment, she has a choice. She can panic and feel defeated, or she can detach from the outcome and give her best effort with calm focus. By letting go of attachment to the result, she channels all her energy into what she can control. Her present action, her performance improves, not because the exam changed, but because her attitude and effort were aligned with her inner power rather than external expectations. Detaching from outcomes does not mean being careless or passive. It does not mean avoiding responsibility or effort. On the contrary, it means committing fully to the process while acknowledging that the results may not always be in our hands. This mindset allows us to act with integrity, purpose, and determination without being consumed by worry, fear, or frustration. It frees us from the emotional roller coaster that comes when we tie our well, being to events we cannot control. Consider a story of a farmer who plants his crops every season. He cannot control the weather, pests, or market prices, yet he works diligently, tending to his land with care and dedication. He focuses on the quality of his work, the consistency of his effort, and the ethical choices he makes. When droughts or floods strike, he does not lose peace because he understands that outcomes are not fully under his control. He has done his best, and that is enough. His detachment from outcomes allows him to maintain calm, resilience, and hope even in the face of uncontrollable events. Detachment also cultivates mental clarity. When we obsess over outcomes, our minds become clouded with fear, anxiety, and what-ifs. This fear paralyzes creativity, limits problem solving, and undermines our ability to act effectively. By letting go of attachment to results, we regain our mental freedom, allowing us to think clearly, make wiser decisions, and respond to challenges with calm and rationality. Detachment empowers us to focus on the journey rather than the destination, on growth rather than judgment, and on learning rather than mere success or failure. Ultimately, detaching from outcomes teaches us humility and resilience. It reminds us that life is a blend of effort and uncertainty, action and surrender. By focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, choices, and efforts, we find peace, strength, and satisfaction regardless of the external results. The problems we face may still be beyond our control, but our inner freedom and our ability to navigate life's storms are entirely in our hands. Resilience is more than just the ability to endure challenges. It is the foundation upon which character is built, especially when problems are beyond our control. Life often places us in situations that test our limits, push us to the edge, and make us question our strength. At those moments, the natural response is to feel defeated or overwhelmed. Yet, it is precisely in those trials that resilience is forged, and in resilience, character is sculpted. Every setback, every difficulty, every circumstance that we cannot control becomes an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more grounded. Consider the story of a young entrepreneur who invested his life savings into a business. For a time, everything seemed to go well, but then an economic downturn hit and his venture collapsed. He had no control over the larger forces at play: market crashes, client losses, and unforeseen regulations. The natural human reaction would be despair, regret, and bitterness. But he chose a different path. He acknowledged the loss, allowed himself to grieve, and then made a conscious decision to rise again. Through this process, he discovered qualities within himself that had been hidden: patience, perseverance, and the courage to start over. This is the essence of resilience. Resilience is like a muscle. It grows stronger each time it is exercised. When life challenges us in ways we cannot control, we are forced to dig deep, to confront our fears, and to find inner resources we may have never known existed. Each time we recover from disappointment, we build not only the ability to face future difficulties, but also the depth of our character. We learn humility, empathy, and the understanding that life is not a straight path, but a journey filled with twists, turns, and lessons. Take the example of a woman who experienced a sudden health crisis. She had carefully planned her life, yet her body betrayed her in ways she could not have anticipated. At first, she felt hopeless, questioning why this had happened to her. But gradually, she realized that while she could not control her illness, she could control her response. She embraced treatments, adapted her lifestyle, and cultivated a mindset of hope and determination. Through this process, she not only regained strength, but also developed patience, courage, and gratitude. Her resilience in the face of the uncontrollable transformed her into a person of profound character and wisdom. Resilience also shapes our perspective. It teaches us that failure, setbacks, and uncontrollable problems are not permanent roadblocks, but temporary challenges. They provide opportunities to reflect, to learn, and to grow. The resilient people do not see life as something that happens to them. They see it as something to engage with consciously, responding to obstacles with intention rather than reacting with fear. This approach builds character because it aligns action with values, effort with integrity, and endurance with grace. Ultimately, resilience is not just about surviving difficulties. It is about thriving because of them. Problems beyond our control may test us, but they also reveal our inner strength, sharpen our judgment, and deepen our understanding of life. Each time we rise after a fall, we reinforce our ability to face the unknown, navigate uncertainty, and maintain our sense of purpose and dignity. In this way, resilience does more than help us endure life's storms. It shapes who we are and who we become. Surrender is often misunderstood. Many people think surrender means giving up, accepting defeat, or resigning to life's challenges. But in reality, surrender is not about weakness, it is about wisdom. When problems are beyond your control, surrender is the conscious choice to release the illusion of control and to accept reality as it is without resistance. It does not mean stopping effort or abandoning your responsibilities. It means focusing your energy on what truly matters and letting go of what you cannot change. True surrender brings clarity, peace, and the strength to move forward even when circumstances seem insurmountable. Consider the story of a man who had been trying to mend a strained relationship for years. He tried everything. He communicated, apologized, and made sacrifices. But despite his best efforts, the other person remained distant and unyielding. At first, he felt frustration and despair. He asked himself why life was so unfair, why he couldn't fix what he valued most. But over time, he realized that the outcome was beyond his control. Surrender, in this context, meant accepting that he could not force someone else to change or feel differently. He chose to release the constant struggle and focus on what he could control: his own actions, his attitude, and his personal growth. By surrendering the need to control the outcome, he found peace and could love and care without being consumed by frustration or expectation. Surrender also allows us to conserve our energy. When we fight endlessly against circumstances beyond our control, we exhaust ourselves physically, emotionally, and mentally. This resistance creates stress, anxiety, and negativity. But when we surrender, we stop wasting energy on the impossible and redirect it toward what can be influenced. Our mindset, our decisions, our efforts, and our relationships. This shift from resistance to acceptance is incredibly empowering because it allows us to act from a place of clarity, not desperation. Another example comes from a woman who faced a sudden job loss due to company downsizing. She could not control the decision, no matter how much she wanted to. Initially, she felt helpless and overwhelmed. But then she realized that surrendering did not mean giving up on her career. It meant accepting the situation, letting go of anger and self-pity, and focusing on her next steps. She began updating her skills, networking, and exploring new opportunities. Her surrender allowed her to act with intention, creativity, and courage, ultimately leading her to a new job that was better aligned with her purpose and passion. Surrender also nurtures humility. It reminds us that life is larger than our individual desires and that there are forces at play beyond our comprehension. By accepting this, we cultivate patience, resilience, and an understanding that life unfolds in its own time and way. Surrender teaches us to trust the process, to embrace uncertainty, and to find inner strength even in moments of apparent helplessness. Ultimately, surrender is an act of courage, not defeat. It is the wisdom to recognize what we cannot change, the strength to let go of control, and the grace to continue forward with clarity, effort, and purpose. When problems are beyond our control, surrender frees us from unnecessary suffering, opens the door to growth, and empowers us to respond with intelligence, patience, and peace. In learning to surrender wisely, we discover that life's challenges can become opportunities, not obstacles, and that letting go can sometimes be the most powerful way to move forward. Adversity shapes greatness in ways that comfort and ease never can. Life has a natural tendency to challenge us, often presenting problems that are beyond our control. These moments can feel unfair, overwhelming, and even cruel. Yet, It is precisely in these trials that the seeds of greatness are planted. When we face difficulties, setbacks, or unexpected obstacles, we are forced to stretch beyond our limits, discover hidden strengths, and cultivate qualities that define character, wisdom, and resilience. It is not the absence of struggle that creates extraordinary individuals. It is the mastery of challenges that molds them. Consider the story of a young musician who dreamed of performing on the world's biggest stages. He practiced tirelessly, but repeated failures, rejections from auditions, and financial hardships tested his resolve. The circumstances were often beyond his control. Judges' preferences, timing, and opportunities that never materialized. Yet, instead of giving up, he continued to hone his craft, learn from criticism, and persevere with unwavering dedication. Years later, his persistence paid off, not just because he was talented, but because the struggles had shaped his discipline, patience, and depth of expression. His adversity had forged the greatness he aspired to achieve. Adversity has a unique way of revealing who we truly are. When life is easy, we rarely discover our full potential. It is only when we are tested by uncontrollable circumstances that our strengths, values, and resilience become evident. Each challenge, failure, or obstacle is like a sculptor chipping away at a block of stone, gradually revealing the masterpiece within. Without difficulty, greatness remains hidden, dormant, and unrealized in those who achieve extraordinary success often credit their challenges as the very source of their growth, learning, and perspective. Take the example of a woman who faced a devastating health crisis. She could not control the illness, the treatments, or the uncertainty of her condition. At first, fear and despair consumed her, but gradually, she recognized that adversity was shaping her into a stronger, more compassionate, and more determined person. She developed patience, gratitude for every small moment, and a deep empathy for others facing similar struggles. Her personal greatness did not emerge from her illness alone, but from how she responded to it, how she transformed suffering into resilience, and challenges into opportunities for inner growth. Adversity also teaches humility and perspective. It reminds us that life is not solely about achievements, possessions, or recognition. True greatness lies in the way we endure difficulties, uplift others, and maintain integrity even when circumstances are harsh. Those who have faced uncontrollable challenges often emerge wiser, more grounded, and more capable of handling life's uncertainties. Their greatness is measured not only by success, but by character, compassion, and the ability to inspire others through their journey. Ultimately, adversity is not something to fear or resent. It is a teacher, a catalyst, and a powerful force for shaping greatness. Problems beyond our control test our patience, determination, and courage, but they also offer a unique opportunity to evolve into stronger, wiser, and more remarkable individuals. By embracing challenges, learning from setbacks, and persevering despite circumstances, we allow adversity to transform us revealing the greatness that was always within us, waiting to be awakened.